Did you know that having high cholesterol puts you at a greater risk for heart disease, the leading cause of death among North Americans? I'm joined by Dr. Mark Chandra and Dr. Jyote Katakkar, who are here to teach us all we need to know about healthy living when it comes to our cholesterol levels. Thank you both so much for joining us. We love having you on the show.
Oh, thanks so much, Tanner. It's fun.
Yes, well, I love health and learning about health and how things affect the body. But I think that oftentimes there's a lot of trends that go on and a lot of misinformation that people are teaching us. So what exactly is cholesterol?
You know what? That's a really great question. We're so glad to be here today because one of the last times that we were here, we talked about heart disease and stroke, which really leads into this whole cholesterol business, because high cholesterol is actually one of the leading causes of heart disease and stroke. So what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is a type of fat that our body produces that circulates through our bloodstream, and believe it or not, it's not an evil molecule. It's actually required for your body to do certain things like produce healthy cell membranes, hormones, and stuff like that. So by no means are we trying to say to everyone that cholesterol is a wicked thing. You know, it's actually required. The problem is, though, if certain types of cholesterol get too high in the blood, that can lead to diseases.
And most people are familiar with the terms LDL and HDL. And LDL refers to low density lipoprotein. That is what we generally term the bad cholesterol. And the HDL is the high density lipoprotein, considered the good cholesterol. So I think a good way to think of it, the LDL cholesterol is what often promotes plaque formation in the blood vessels. And probably a good analogy to what that looks like is if you think about the drain leading from your shower. If you've got if you've got water that's very heavy in calcium, you get those calcium buildups in the pipes. And of course, your shower doesn't drain very well when that happens. And it's very similar to what happens when you've got high levels of LDL.
Interesting.
Basically, it promotes that plaque formation in the blood vessels.
And what is it? I know there are lots of foods that you guys are going to tell me that I should stay away from. What are some of the bad foods that people need to stay away from?
So certainly food is one of the ways that we can bring our cholesterol under control. And I loved what you said during the introduction in terms of getting your blood cholesterol checked. It's something that we recommend for any man over the age of 40 or a woman over the age of 50, or if she is started her menopause years. Anyone who's a little bit overweight or has struggled with heart disease and stroke, these are definitely individuals that need to get their cholesterol checked by their doctor.
Anybody with the risk factors for cardiovascular disease, so anybody with high blood pressure, anybody with diabetes or strong family history.
And tell me, isn't it genetic? I mean, it's hereditary, correct?
Certainly elements of it are in terms of cholesterol levels and just the act of getting heart disease and stroke. But once you've got your levels checked, your doctor will then explain them to you and now start giving you strategies of getting them under control, which brings us to this whole big field of diet and exercise and things like that. So of course, part of getting our cholesterol levels under control is what we eat. We use the term diet. I don't want to, when I use the term diet, I'm not thinking of reducing necessarily, but just in terms of what we're having to eat. And contrary to popular belief, eating food with cholesterol in it probably has a lower role to play in our blood cholesterol than a lot of people think. What's important, though, is the amount of fat we eat and the type of fat we eat.
Right. When you're looking at the nutrients on the back of, I don't know, let's say a cereal box, what is it that you should look at and say, I don't need any of that?
Well, certainly, as far as fats go, there's healthier fats and then there's unhealthy fats. Overall, as Canadians, we could probably do with generally less fat in our diet. Notice I'm not saying that we should cut it out completely. Fat, again, is a good thing. It helps us digest our food. Our bodies require certain fats to be healthy. And fat also provides us with that satiety, that full feeling that makes it so we don't want to snack right after we've eaten.
Well, that's why it's so good.
Exactly, and
I
it
love
tastes
fried
great.
foods, right? It tastes good, so you want it.
So yeah,
But there's
so,
certainly certain fats you want to have more of, and some you want to have less of.
right, and
Yep.
and to define how much is okay, probably 25 to 30% of our calories can come from fat.
Okay.
So again, we're not asking people to annihilate it from their diet. And the idea is that we want to emphasize the healthier fats.
Healthier fats.
Okay.
So those are the fats that are higher in the monounsaturated
So what kind of
fats.
foods would that be?
So you're looking at things like avocados, nuts. You're looking at fish.
Vegetable oils.
Okay.
Right, so
you're not
those-
cutting everything out. We can have some
Absolute-
good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. The things that the type of fats that you do want to avoid are the so-called saturated fats,
Right.
or the trans fats, which are even worse. And these tend to be found in processed foods, in red meats, and things like that. So those are the things that we probably want to eat less of. Again, I don't want to say avoid, but probably eat less of those types of foods.
And really quickly, before we go, because
Yeah.
there's just so much that I want to
Yeah.
know, but what can people expect when they go to the doctor to get their cholesterol levels checked? What does that look like? What kind of test is it?
So, I mean, when we do a cholesterol test, first of all, it's a fasting test. So you don't eat from, I think, midnight to the night
man.
before. Yes, that's
12 hours of fasting.
That's a long
That's
time.
a lot for some of us. And so there's a breakdown in what the blood test is looking at. It will look at your total cholesterol, and then it will break it into your LDL level, your HDL level, your triglyceride level. And your doctor will be able to guide you through the results of that blood test, and help determine what the steps, what the necessary steps are.
And a lot of people think that the thing that they're going to expect right away is medicine.
Yeah.
And goodness knows there are medicines out there to help lower our cholesterol, but that's not what the first thing that's going to happen. They're going to talk about diet, the importance of certain healthy fats that I wanted to mention, like omega-3 polyunsaturates found in fish, other things like increasing the fiber. We should be, as Canadians,
So there
trying
are
to
things that we can do to prevent this, and I just want to encourage
Absolutely.
all of our viewers to go have your cholesterol checked. Although you can't control all of your risk factors for high cholesterol, you can take preventative steps to avoid it. Thank you to the doctor so much for helping us stay informed so that we can take the necessary steps towards healthier lives together.